And hello, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to game number 2. I just went out and grabbed some Red Bull, so I'm set to go for this next game. I actually felt myself draining a little bit on energy because I'm busting this out on the midnight oil as right before I'm about to go to sleep. It's exactly midnight right now. So anyways, enough of that. This is going to be game number 2 between EG.Idra and WhiteRa. We have EG.Idra here as the blue Zerg at the top right-hand corner. This map is... Gosh, this is such an old map, I already forgot the name. It's Terminus, that's what it is. So we have EG.Idra on the right side of the map of Terminus, and we have got WhiteRa in the bottom left-hand corner. He will be the red Protoss. It looks like the colors are this time correct. I have no idea what was going on in the last game. I think Battle.net just decided to give us a big middle finger, or at least Starcraft 2 decided to. So that doesn't happen too often. We'll go ahead and, forgive the guys at Blizzard for that one. I've never seen it happen before, so... yeah, it looks like the colors are correct this time. We had a really interesting, Zerg versus Protoss. I mean, I guess it wasn't super interesting. It was more like very high-level skill between the two players, which to me is very interesting to watch because it's always cool to watch the top players duke it out. And plus, come on, man, it's EG.Idra and WhiteRa. These two guys, like I said before, they have been locked in eternal combat since before. Before you and I were born. Well, maybe not that early, but they've been locked in combat for as long as stone men have been throwing sticks and stones and clubbing each other with little clubs. So they are essentially the epitome of rivalry in StarCraft 2, and we'll have to see how this is gonna close out. This is game number 2 of a best of 3 series. WhiteRa here gonna go ahead and scout to the top. He scouts a 12 o'clock position, but nothing to be seen there. This is a 4-player map. I haven't seen that many games on this map as of late. It's actually kind of fallen out of favor lately, so I'm excited that they brought it back for whatever tournament or whatever set of replays this may be. But I am excited they brought it back because this map really has the potential to be one of the most epic macro maps on the scene. You have to remember that not only is the natural protected on the inside, but the third is protected as well. Now, I do notice right now that this is a version of the map with the destructible rocks leading into the third, and that's pretty big because a Zerg player is going to enjoy that much more rather than the version of Crevasse that doesn't have the rocks right here. There's a version that doesn't have rocks, and since there are rocks there, a Zerg player can break through and they can harass the third. Although Protoss players can do that as well, so we'll have to see what happens this game. The Protoss player can obviously destroy his set of rocks and go through his side as well, and we'll have to see. EG.Idra right now going to go ahead and go for the hatchery. He has a spawning pool coming down, and oh my god, look at that, WhiteRa going for a... Oh, that is so bold. Holy good god. Are the colors correct here? I don't know. Did EG.Idra switch into WhiteRa's shoes right here? Because this really looks EG.Idra-esque, although obviously it's a Protoss player right here. So WhiteRa gonna bust out a Nexus right away. This is all under 18 supply. He's now just hit the 20 supply mark, but this is so bold, and EG.Idra is going to scout this out. I mean, he's gonna see this Nexus, and immediately alarm bells gotta be going off in his head. Does EG.Idra really want to get another hatchery here? I mean, yeah, he's gonna have to get this hatchery at the very least, but to stay on par with the Protoss, theoretically, a Zerg player always needs to be up 1 base. So now EG.Idra's got to ask himself, do I grab 1 more hatchery at a mineral location? This doesn't count because it's a macro hatchery. Do I grab another one? And if I do, where? And if I don't, what do I do? Do I go be aggressive? Because obviously on this map, there are 2 corridors, like I said before, for EG.Idra to be aggressive. He doesn't have to punch through this front wall, which is already looking pretty insurmountable, the way that WhiteRa is going to be placing his front door. Although there is an opening right now, but certainly there is an opening right here. Those rocks are not protected at all, and I honestly feel like, if EG.Idra wanted to, he could certainly go for a timing push here with roaches, Hydras maybe. He might even have time to tech up to Hydras, given how greedily WhiteRa has played this. I don't think I've seen a third Nexus this fast before. This is super fast. This is WhiteRa actually stealing a page out of EG.Idra's cookbook for macro and really building on it and kind of republishing it with WhiteRa's stamp and his face all over it. So we'll have to see what happens. But oh, look at this, WhiteRa gonna get a Stargate and actually puts it in plain view of the Overlord. I'm pretty sure EG.Idra sees that. Yeah, he does. So now the Void Ray makes a lot of sense because it's close air spawns. He can easily get that Void Ray over to the Zerg main actually. but he placed it in plain view of the Overlord. So now I'm wondering, is he trying to play head games with Idra? Is he going to commit to this? We'll just have to see. Obviously, he hasn't built anything else. He is getting the Warp Gate research, but that's such a cheap upgrade. It's almost a given that Protoss players are going to get that. Doesn't matter what build they do. So, you know, I don't really know what WhiteRa is going for right now. He still hasn't committed to doing anything yet. And Idra is just now getting his layer up, but he hasn't, you know, Idra has not grabbed a 4th hatchery at a mineral location. And I don't know if that bodes well for him if he's going to try to play a macro game. You know, you got to remember, WhiteRa's on 3 bases, and Protoss on 3 bases. If you've only got 3, you can, you know, kiss your ass goodbye unless you're Stefano. I don't know how Stefano does it, but he's one of those Zerg players, the recent champion of IPL 3, who is just able to win even though he's below on bases, and I don't know how he does it. Kind of a miracle in of itself. But here we go, the Void Ray making its way across the air. Is that a medevac in there? How the hell did that medevac get stuck in there? That is so random. Alright, anyway, so Idra apparently living on top of the Terran jail store, or jailhouse, and the Void Ray is going to come in here. It is going to go ahead and charge up on this Queen, and now a Phoenix coming in to pick up the Queen as well, but a second Queen does make its way in. I think that Idra should be able to defend this. Yes, he will, and he's got a Spore Crawler coming up as well. So his anti-air defense is solid. No leaks right there. And now he's going to go for his Hydralisks instead, and of course the Hydralisks are going to be really important here. They're the anti-air unit that Zerg really needs to deal with even a single Stargate. But not only that, like I said before, Idra, I feel like, has an opportunity here to just go for a Roach Hydra bus at the front. Look at WhiteRa's main. He's just now getting his production facilities online. He just added on 5 gateways. You know, he has nothing at the front door, absolutely nothing. And Idra is making 8 Hydralisks right now. I really think, you know, given that Idra has not grabbed a 4th hatchery yet, I really think he is just going to go for an all-out bust. I mean, that makes total sense to me. And oh, look at this. He's getting Overlord drop and Ventral Sacks. So he's going to do an Overlord drop into the main. Now, the question is, does WhiteRa notice this with the Phoenix? The lair doesn't really give off any telltale sign that it's researching an upgrade. At least, I don't think it does. I don't think these tentacles mean that it's researching anything. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I should know that. But yeah, I don't think WhiteRa can really tell that Overlord drop is coming. He is adding on a crap ton of warp gates, so good lord, 8, 9. So in a couple of seconds here, he's going to have a massive amount of production. And now now Idra going to go for the 4th hatchery. And WhiteRa is going to probably pick that off. Yes, he's going to get the cancel. I don't know what Idra's really trying to do here, because I thought for a moment there he was going to go for Overlord drop, and it seems like something made him change his mind. He got the research and he got the upgrades, but then for whatever reason he decided to grab a hatchery. I really feel like he had an opportunity to drop Hydras here rather than going for the 4th hatch. Because if he was going to go for the 4th hatch, I feel like he should have done it much sooner. But since he, got the research and everything for Overlord drop, I think he had an opportunity that's been missed now to drop this 3rd Nexus and pick it off. Yes, granted, now he's going in, but it's a little bit later. And I can't help but feel now that, WhiteRa's going to be prepared. Although most of his forces at the front, so I don't know, we'll have to see. Idra coming in here with a lot of Overlords, but only half of them are full of Hydras. And meanwhile, the Void Ray is working this hatchery down, but a Hydra has been sent to deal with that. The Hydra will probably die as that Void Ray was charged up. And now Idra dropping this Nexus. He should be able to do a lot of damage here. It doesn't look like WhiteRa's going to respond. In fact, WhiteRa not even going to care. He lets the Nexus go down. So Idra, even though his drop was really delayed, he still did some serious damage and pulled it off successfully. So Idra with a big win right there. Kills off the hatchery at the bottom left, but look at this, special tactics to the rescue. WhiteRa comes in with a couple of Zealots, it picks off the Queen, but the Hydra's coming back from the offense. They're just going to drop right in plain view of those Zealots, and they pick them off. So back and forth drop action right here. Very interesting game, because you don't really see drop being used from both sides in a Zerg versus Protoss. Typically, if you do see drop, I mean, it's rare enough as it is, but if you do see it, it's usually from one side towards another. But in this game, we're having drops from both armies. And look at that Hydralisk army. Oh my god, it's 2 full, or at least 1 full control group plus a second one on the way. So that's a pretty large Hydra army. That's quite the menacing. But WhiteRa's got 3 Colossi out now. So Idra is going to have to either A, get some bulky Roaches in the front to protect those Hydras, or he's going to have to get a lot of Corruptors out, and it looks like he's opting to go for the Corruptor route. and maybe roaches once he gets speed finished, as you guys can see on the production tab just going right now. WhiteRa using the moving drop technique because he knows that that warp prism is done for. The zealots make it out of there, but really this is a dead end if they run up here, but it doesn't look like Idra's going to give chase, as there is a push out in the middle of the field right now. A lot of Colossi coming out, an Overlord drop moving down to the bottom right with Zerglings, and I don't know if they're crack upgraded. It doesn't look like they are because Hive hasn't been finished yet, but Idra has an opportunity to drop into the main, and this is enough to scare WhiteRa. WhiteRa going to run all the way back, and look at this, all of a sudden now the zealots brave enough to come back out of the top left, but I don't know where they're going. I don't know what he's doing with these, and they're just going to run into the Hydra army and probably dissipate into thin air, and there it is. So their souls return to Ire, and Idra gets the drop into the bottom right, and he will be able to pick off this Nexus, but at the same time, a massive attack in the middle of the field. The force field's going down, and the Colossi roasting the Hydras, but there are some Corruptors up in the air. Idra may have enough Corruptors to kill off all the Colossus. He does! And that is a victory, actually, for both sides, because Idra picks off almost every single Colossus, but he also loses all of his Hydras, or at least a significant chunk of his Hydras, to WhiteRa, and WhiteRa was able to secure the Nexus in the middle of the map, and at the same time, it looks like Idra's drop still ongoing. He is doing some decent damage in the bottom of this Nexus. In fact, where are all the probes? Ah, there they are. I actually ran away for a second, and Idra finds his Zerglings running amok inside the Protoss main. He sees the absolutely obscene amount of warp gates right now. Maybe not quite obscene yet, but it could get pretty heavy in the next couple of seconds. And meanwhile, a major attack in the middle once again as WhiteRa moves out to protect his Nexus, but the Colossus goes down, and WhiteRa losing that Colossus is not going to have enough firepower, I would think, to hold this off. Idra coming in with a lot of Hydras now, and without any Colossus support, he is going to be very hard pressed to hold off these Hydras. They are at 1-2 upgrades apiece. WhiteRa has 2 weapons. Another Colossus comes out, a second Colossus comes in, and that last Colossus right there may have been the changing factor. I think WhiteRa will just barely have enough to hold this assault off, and Idra is forced to tuck tail and run away. Unbelievable hold right there by WhiteRa. That just shows you guys really the importance of macroing. It's always so important to be constantly macroing your forces. If he hadn't been macroing, these Colossus wouldn't have come out, and WhiteRa would have been really SOL, because those Hydras would have been enough to bust through into that Nexus. And now Idra actually just going to go ahead and go for a run by. But the power of the Protoss, able to warp in anything, anywhere, and that will be able to keep the Zerglings away. So WhiteRa with really good defense. Yes, there is a breach in the bottom right, as is indicated by the creep now spewing onto the ground below, but that's okay. You know, WhiteRa just needs to seal this off, or eventually deal with those Overlords and clear out the dropping lanes, and he should be okay. I mean, honestly, he's at 3 bases right now, and Idra's at 4 bases. So really, the number of bases has remained the same this game, and that is why you don't see either army maxed out right now. Both armies are considerably low for 18 minutes in at this high level. The Warp Prism is killed off, and 4 Zealots make their way in. I don't see these Zealots doing much damage because of the large number of Roaches coming back, and yeah, that Zealot is just going to eat a ton of acid to the face and dies instantly. But, you know, WhiteRa's sitting on 3 bases right now. He's pretty comfortable at that. He actually has a larger army right now, unbelievably. I don't know how that transpired, but let's just look at the workers killed for a second. Not really that many. In come Idra, actually behind WhiteRa in workers. And you know what it might be? It just might be these drops. I mean, they've done damage, but they really haven't killed off probes, and that's key. Idra's only killed off 8 probes with the number of units he's dropped off, and that may be why, you know, he's not going to have enough of an army here to deal with this Protoss ball in the middle of the field, although it looks like the drop is going to force this army back, so Idra accomplishes at least that much. And I don't know where he's going with this drop. He's just going to go ahead and go right into the back of the mineral line here. Meanwhile, it looks like WhiteRa going to secure another Nexus on the left side of the field. Excuse me, guys. My mouse hand is spazzing out for a second right there. But Idra is going to go ahead and drop right here in the bottom of the natural. Picks off a couple pylons and a cannon, disrupts mining for a little bit, and walks away. So, I don't know, at this point, that Colossus number, it is getting really, that's obscene. That's a very large number of Colossi. And, you know, from first hand, I can tell you guys, that number of Colossi is scary for Zerg. I actually have nightmares about 5+ Colossi. And this is 6, with the 7th one joining the field pretty soon. And while Idra has a lot of Corruptors, Gosh, I still don't know if he has enough. I would say, you know, you might need 15 or so to deal with this many Colossi. And look at how fast that hatchery is going to evaporate. A thin mist of blood up in the air now from that attack. That was a laser-guided assault. And EG.Idra now just going to go for a base race. Doesn't even want to deal with this Protoss army. I kind of like that decision. But now, you know, he's kind of out of position. He's got to destroy these Colossi. That is the only way he's going to be able to deal with this Protoss army up front. Will he be able to do it? That's a lot of Corruptors. And the Colossus actually not moving right now. WhiteRa making a mistake. I feel like he could lose all of his Colossus, but no, the Corruptors all getting picked apart by the Stalkers, and about 3 Colossi still standing. And the key here is WhiteRa has Colossus still standing. That is absolutely important right now, because WhiteRa still has the extended artillery to be able to push, to be able to play defensively, and EG.Idra is just going to call GG. He just does not have enough to deal with that that Colossus ball, and because of that, WhiteRa pretty much takes this game. So that's 2-0 in favor of WhiteRa. And if that wasn't enough, looks like WhiteRa was calling in Arnold Schwarzenegger from the future. That's the little Terminator time ball. Might see an Arnold, a naked Arnold coming in. There, you guys can kind of see him. So if that wasn't enough, WhiteRa was kind of calling on help from Skynet, or the Rebels, whatever way you want to call it. But WhiteRa is just absolutely dominating this run, and it looks like he was able to kill off EG.Idra 2-0 in this series. And you know, he didn't really cheese in either game. He just played a straight up macro game, and he raffle stomped EG.Idra. So that's that. And you know, once again, my hats off to both these players, both very respectable in the community, both high level players, and WhiteRa was able to take away the win today. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I do have another series I want to cast. It's between EG.Idra and Select, and this one I'm super excited about as well. It's an extended series, so it's actually, I don't know how many games it goes, but I know at the very least it's a best of 9, I think, or a best of 7, something like that. So let's go ahead and get right to that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys get a chance, follow me on YouTube, and check me out on Facebook and Twitter as well. You guys can follow me there. And that's it for me, guys. This is HD, signing out.